So the big push that you're seeing is from steel. We're going to discuss that. I'm joined right now our guests are here. T.S. Harrier is here with us. Sanjeev Bhasin is right next to me, and Imtiaz Qureshi are there. And we'll soon be joined by Sameet Chavan in a short while. Let me start off with Harrier. Let's get the picks out of the way. What are you buying?
Well, we have three buy calls today. The first, of course, is one of my favorites in the specialty chemicals segment, which is Sharda Cropchem, which we are recommending at 430 with a target of 500. The second, of course, is Hyderabad-based NCC Limited, which is a cement company, which we are recommending at a price of 92 with a target of about 120. And the last is one of my old favorites from the MFI or the microfinance space, which is Equitas, which we are once again recommending at 180 with a 3-month target of 225.
All right, Imtiaz, some technical calls. What are you doing?
Very good morning. Yes, we are looking after the deep correction. Some retracement has happened on the last couple of trading sessions, and right now we are looking for a positive move for the market. We are looking for first Ajanta Pharma, because last session was very much impressive for the Ajanta Pharma. I'm talking about the Friday session where we had seen a very good pullback coming from Ajanta Pharma, and I think so the participation we would definitely continue till higher side doesn't achieve. So we can buy Ajanta Pharma with a stop loss of 1990 for the target of 2225. Second, I'm giving the high beta stocks SDFC Limited. Yes, we had seen from last two sessions the higher top, higher bottom formations, and there is a very much positive outflow divergence coming from market oscillators like RSI is showing a very much positiveness. And I think so if the market turns around from here, then high beta stocks like SDFC Limited would definitely give a big performance. So we can buy with a stop loss of 1330 for the target of 1490. And the last pick would be NHPC. If we see the last session, there was a very much bullish candle formation had happened over there. And right now, I think so this bullish candle will give a base platform, and higher side would be definitely look much more higher. Buy with a stop loss of 25 for the target of 32.
All right, Imtiaz, I'm going to let you take that call. Someone's busy trying to get your picks. But Sanjeev is here with us. Sanjeev, three of your favorites I can see on your buy list today.
Yes, in three stocks which we've been extremely bullish last 3 years, and we still continue to think they are going to be doublers from here. So NBCC, on the back that they've got another very big order on the VSNL land development. They already have an order book of close to 50,000 in the recent past, which was given by Government of India. So you know, NBCC has an order flow for the next 4 years with clear visibility and execution, you know, at par. We think this stock is only headed higher, and this opportunity where Government of India sold their 15% stake was one of the best chances you got of entering this stock. For the short term, we have a target of 255 with a stop loss of 232. Second would be Engineers India, again a prime beneficiary of the hydrocarbon capex picking up for the oil marketing companies. Turnkey builder and engineering play with a target of 285 and a stop loss of 263. And thirdly, Bharti Infratel, which has impressed us with numbers, and now there is talk of further private equity participation by buying some of the Bharti stake. We think this could go all the way to 360, 365 and a stop loss of 342.
All right, hold your thought there. Sameet Chavan's also here with us. Sameet, what are your picks?
Good morning. Nifty has stuck in a range of 200-250 points, so we would expect individual stocks to outperform. And there are some stocks that are showing weakness, so we would short sell those stocks. Buy would be on Ashok Leyland. Clearly in last couple of weeks we have seen a good recovery in this stock from lower levels of 75-76, and now the stock is showing strength. Thus going forward we expect this moment to extend a bit. 99 would be our immediate target. It can be bought. Stop loss would be around 87.5. Our second buy would be on Lovable. Clearly after a consolidation of nearly 1 or 2 months, this stock has managed to give a decisive breakout with substantial rise in volumes. Thus we expect this stock to climb a bit. 320 would be our immediate target. Stop loss can be placed at 285. Our sell call would be on Shriram Transport. Last week we saw a breakdown from multiple support of 1110, 1120 on a closing basis. The stock is trading below that level. Thus we expect this stock to continue its downward move. Our target would be around 1030. Stop loss can be placed at 1120. And our final sell call would be on Hindalco. We have been maintaining our cautious bias on the stock since last couple of weeks. Clearly, daily chart indicates weakness. Thus, we expect the stock to slide towards 141, and stop can be fixed at 153.5.
All right, stay with us. I'm just going to take our viewers through some of the numbers which came out, which will be looked at closely. The first one is Dish TV. Its PAT is up 71%, and this is at a time when I think the markets more or less expected a drop in profit of about 32% odd. But on the other hand, flat margins were expected to go up to about 35% odd, but that's not happened. Margins are absolutely flat on Dish TV. Nestle, the numbers are very, very strong. Look at Nestle numbers. Its Q3 sales are up almost 40% there, and profit is up almost 80%. So 2190 in terms of sales, and very strong numbers. Bharat Financial Inclusion, look at that. The NII is up 40%, even better than what the markets expected, and profit is about 145 out there. We expected approximately 141, 142. So slightly outperforming, but more or less in line. The Marico numbers, again, sales is down marginally, but PAT is above what the markets expected. So again, this is another number which has perhaps, even though the sales are flat, PAT improvement will probably show that there'll be a bit of buying. Operating profit is up quite sharply. 253 crore is operating profit, and 1 year ago it was closer to 230 crore, 228 odd crore. JK Cement, PAT has more than almost tripled there. So 14.5 crore, that's what we had in Q2 FY16 and Q2 FY17. Look at that number, 41 crore. That's 182% jump in JK Cement's earnings. Ujas Energy profit is up again, almost tripled there. There's just a 3 crore profit, and that's gone to almost 10 crores, and the top line has also more than doubled. GIC Housing Finance, strong numbers again, 15% move in profit, and total income is also up slightly below 15%. Inox Wind, the numbers are slightly lower. There was an expectation of good profits there, but Inox Wind has actually come in with a 40% drop in the bottom line. Century Textiles, it's complete turnaround there. It had a loss of about 31 crore in Q2 last year, and now it has a PAT, a profit after tax, of 41 crore. Although sales are down, so there is a big improvement that they've done in the way in which they're running the company. Now, that's broadly what the earnings are, but let's look at some of the stocks in news. Some of this has to do with just approvals for demerger. One of them is Reliance Capital. It's got an approval to demerge its real estate lending business into Reliance Home Finance. We should keep an eye on the oil marketing companies today. Non-subsidized LPG prices have been hiked by 37.5 rupees per cylinder. That could show some impact. NBCC, that's on Sanjeev's buy list, and today ET, Economic Times, has reported that they'll probably get the right to redevelop VSNL's land assets. Bharti Infratel, again, a report that's come in that KKR and Canada Pension Plan may buy stake worth $4 billion, which would make it the single largest individual stakeholder out there. Tata Motors has issued a statement to stock exchanges saying that there's no change in Cyrus Mistri's status on the board as of date, and following all governance processes for investment approvals. That's what it's saying, and we are also following all governance processes for risk assessment. This is, of course, in reaction to what Cyrus Mistry has been saying about the investments that were done under Ratan Tata. Heritage Foods, the news is that they've got approval. They've agreed to acquire Reliance Retail's dairy business. There's some news on Sikal Logistics. They've got a revenue opportunity of 1,500 crores with the West Bengal Power Development Corporation, which is a 7-year contract. So over 700 years, the revenue opportunity there, this is not guaranteed revenue, is about 1,500 crore. Now, Bosch, the Rajasthan Pollution Board, has revoked consent for their operating the Jaipur plant. Bosch has received this revocation order. Some upgrades and downgrades. There's Sagar Cement. CARE has upgraded its long-term debt rating, whereas the electro steel castings, CARE has downgraded its long-term debt rating. GMR Infrastructure, that's one piece of news that we've got, has now put in a fresh bid, a new bid for the new international airport in Crete in Greece. So those are the stocks in news. There are some US FDA approvals that have come in the pharma space. Dr. Reddy's has got nod to sell nystatin and triamcinolone acetonide cream. Nystatin should be a standard antifungal medication. Aurobindo Pharma, it's got US FDA approval to sell instatropium bromide. This is essentially used for asthma, and it's an inhaler for asthma and COPD patients. Lupin, it's got approval to sell an oral contraceptive, and that's called norgestimate and ethinyl estradiol. Tongue twisters there, but you know what essentially those things are. Let me get back to TS. What do you make of the numbers that have come in? A lot of numbers have come in. What do you make of them till now?
See, broadly, if I look at the story of the numbers, I think 2-3 things seem to be coming out quite clearly. The first apparently seems to be that the top line growth, I think, is still not coming through to the extent it was expected. So I think that is true across sectors like including IT, where the top line growth has been actually below expectation. But the good news seems to be that I think the operating margins and the operating profits, I think that is where the real growth seems to be coming. We still don't have the final figures of this entire quarter, but our estimate is that the operating profits and the operating margins should have shown a substantial improvement in this quarter. So I think that to me seems to be the big news as far as this quarter is concerned.
Sanjeev, that the operating margins improving, but top line continuing to be kind of curtailed there. How much leeway do companies have now? If the top line does not grow, if demand does not grow at the existing price points, what happens?
Well, Anil, if you see across the spectrum, I'll take 4 big names: ITC, NTPC, Maruti and HDFC. Maruti, of course, on the back that volumes have been at an all-time high, but the rest 3 have been, like we said, the volumes were rather static. But extremely good improvement on the bottom line and in the margins, which is telling us that we are at the cusp of a big move upside where private capex will tend to expand. Look at your core sector numbers, whether it's cement, it is steel, it is power. Most of the cyclical commodities are doing extremely well, and I think it's a matter of time. There could be a lag effect as far as the numbers go on the top line basis. I am extremely bullish with on 2017 heralding all that in, and that is why we think you could see an expansion on the GDP, and the price earning multiple of the Nifty itself should be upgraded for say about 200 basis points.
All right. Let me get Imtiaz on some technical points on a few of the companies which have come out with numbers. Do you track Marico, Imtiaz?
Definitely, Marico, one of the big, so you can say, outperformer in the last rally, and we have seen a very good rally coming from the, you can say, in a year-on-year basis. As of now, what I can see that the last session was not impressive for the Marico, but the stocks has a very good support on an intraday basis, very good support at 274. Until the stock doesn't closes below 274, I think so the stock will be having the potential of going maybe around 310, 320 very soon. So can be given as a buy with a stop loss of 274 on a closing basis. And the moment the stocks break a triple top, say there's a triple top formation, 288, 219, and yesterday last session was 286. So there is very much closer, you can say, triple top formation. Once this get breakout, I think so the stocks will go non-stop around 310, 320 level.
Sameet, the Dish TV, what do you make of it?
See, this stock has been consolidating in a range of 100, 102, and lower side 90, 92 was acting as a support. So if you look at the daily chart structure, it's been oscillating within the boundaries of triangle pattern. Last session we saw a breakout from its range of 98, 99 with rising volumes. Thus going ahead, we expect this stock to extend this move 108, 109, which are the recent highs. So these levels can be retested. So stock certainly looks good with a near-term perspective. Any dip to towards 97, 96 would be a very good buying opportunity. And the stock has now already formed a strong base around 90 to 93 levels.
All right, just about 10 odd seconds left for the markets to open. We are going to be, we expect a lot of movement to take place in Bharti Infratel because of the news that has come in about KKR and Canada Pension Fund picking up more stake there. And keep an eye on the auto stocks. They should also be moving up. ACC down 1/3%, Hindalco up 0.5%. ONGC marginally down, Reliance flat, ICICI Bank is up 0.5%. Bharti Infratel, as we mentioned, that's what we were expecting, up about 1.4%. The auto numbers will be coming out, and right now on the Nifty pack, Eicher Motors is the biggest gainer, 1.7% up. Hindalco now extends the lead by about 1% right now. Hero MotoCorp, 1% up. HDFC, which is on the buy list of Imtiaz Qureshi, up about 1%. Aurobindo Pharma, we mentioned that the entire pharma space should look strong today because of the US FDA approvals. Dr. Reddy's, however, is slightly in the red. Aurobindo Pharma up about 0.7%. ACC down 0.4%. M&M ahead of the numbers is down 0.2%. Z Entertainment is up 0.7%. Maruti picking up as we speak, 0.5% up. Tata Steel, it has been in a bit of limbo because of what has happened within the Tata group. In the last 1 week, we've seen about a 2% drop in Tata Steel, but today a bit of a comeback, partly because of the core sector data there. Maruti Suzuki, as I mentioned, Lupin up 1/3%. Ultra Cement doing well today. Some part of cement doing well today. ACC was down, but Ultratech Cement is up at the moment. All right, let's now try and take a look at what is happening in the NSE top turnover space. And as usual, what we're going to do is we're going to take the top 50 counters in terms of the highest amount of turnover, not just volumes, just turnover. Volume into the price at which they're selling, and then we're going to stack them up into by the maximum change. So RBL Bank up about 3%, Advanced Enzyme Technologies up 3%, Jet Airways up 2.7% at the moment, HDFC, as we mentioned, technically strong 2.5%, Eicher Motors 1.8%, and you have to wonder how this stock can keep going up. It's up about 24% in 1 year. It's given 36%, and this stock is worth almost 24,500 rupees. Bharti Infratel now 1.8% up on very strong volumes. UPL 1.8% up. Hindalco, strong volumes there, 1.5% up. Century Textiles, the numbers have been strong. It's on strong volumes today, 1% up. Vedanta up 1%. Bharat Financial Inclusion, as we mentioned, Bharat Financial Inclusion beat market expectation, and strong buying there, 1.2% up at the moment. So that's the broad picture in terms of the gainers. But Kitex Garments is down 16%, 15.8% down. Tirumalai, its net profit is down, has Kitex Garment net profit has gone down by 53%. It's down 16%. Tirumala Chemicals down 2.8%. Aztec Lifestyles is 2.5%. Tech Mahindra 1.3%. Titan down 1.5% at the moment. Hindustan Petroleum Corp down about 1%. So we expected a bit of buying today in the oil marketing company space because of the fact that LPG prices have been hiked, but that's not happened. The Nifty, let's take a look at what the Nifty is at. It's flattish, 8640. As we mentioned, 8640 will become the first resistance for the Nifty because that's the pivot of the day. 8640 is where the Nifty is trading. The Sensex also trading broadly about 0.1% up. What is looking strong right now is the auto space, the finance space. Metal space is looking strong because of what is happening in Tata Steel, Hindalco, Vedanta. These are the places where we are seeing some movement. Let's try and pull up some of the breakup of the mid-cap index, the BSE mid-cap index, what is happening there. The biggest gainer there in the mid-cap space, in the BSE mid-cap space, if we could pull those up for you, is 3M it's Greenply is up 3.6%, Jet Airways up 3.5%, 5%. Mahindra Holidays and Resorts on very low volumes is up about 3.2%. JM Financial up 2.6%. Dishman Pharma up 1.5%. But in terms of the overall space, there are a lot of losers as well. IIFL Holdings on low volumes is down 5%. Lycos Internet down about 2.7%. Aban Offshore correcting 2.5% down. All right, so that's the broad picture on the markets and the way the markets have opened today. A lot of numbers, smaller numbers came in. TS, if I look at the Diwali to Diwali period, and perhaps the biggest returns have come in the mid-cap space. But within that, NBFCs are probably the key, and even if one looks at the index, NBFCs have a heavy weight, some of the steel counters have a bit of a heavy weight, mid-cap steel. NBFCs clearly outperformed. Rest of it wasn't that great in the last 1 year. Would you continue to bet on NBFCs, or do you think that NBFCs, I know you've have bet on one of them there, but are you taking profits off others?
I wouldn't call it NBFCs so broadly. I would say MFIs have actually been the outperformers in the last 1 year. But you know, Anand, there are other sectors which probably a lot of us have not noticed. You know, one of them is private banks, and I would say select private banks. Look at Yes Bank, look at IndusInd Bank, and more recently look at RBL Bank. RBL Bank has actually rallied 33% in a matter of 2 months. Look at specialty chemicals. I think these stocks have really rallied. So I don't think it's just about NBFC. There are a lot of sectors. You know. In fact, small cap IT has rallied quite sharply. So there are a lot of mid cap and small cap sectors, I think, that have rallied, which has taken the mid cap index up. I think there is a very strong story. They are low leverage companies. You know, they are companies with focused business models. They don't have too much of debt on the books, and they are big beneficiaries of low input costs because of cheap oil. So I think the mid cap story, in my view, is set to continue even in this year, although it's going to be very, very stock specific.
But you know, we've often seen that when the markets correct, the mid caps tank faster. Now, how closely are you watching the US elections? Do you think it's going to make a difference?
You know, there seems to be a lot of hue and cry about those leaked emails. Who's going to be the, you know, president? Would it be Trump? Would it be Clinton? I think at least going by what we get to see or the popular vote that we get to see, it looks like it's going to be the way of the Democrats. But you never know. You know, Brexit, as I keep saying, was a big surprise. Everyone thought that Brexit won't happen. It finally ended up happening. So in my view, we'll have to wait for November 8th. Nothing is clear, at least at this point of time. But yes, I think it will be a very, very important factor in deciding the future of the markets.
Sanjeev, how important will it be if Trump does win? We've seen that the gap between Trump and Hillary has now gotten down to just 1%. In fact, the number of people who dislike Hillary, that's one of the polls that they really positively dislike her, is actually more than Trump. So I think 60% of voters in the US dislike Hillary, whereas 58% strongly dislike Trump. So if Trump ends up winning, how different will the world look?
Well, yeah, we'll have to wait for the 8th, but if you take that as a worst case scenario, I think the bark is worse than the bite. I don't think a lot of what he has said will go through. It will be rather more cautious, and actually he might turn out to be good for business. So the big caveat here is the rising bond yields in the US, which have a dual purpose. You know, they could be signaling the cost of money rising, but they also signal that there is improvement globally in the economy. I think that would be a bigger pivot. You know, we've gone from 1.4 to 1.85, which is why there is a lot of caution and there is pessimism on the globe. I think this, whatever the outcome of the US election, will have a knee-jerk reaction in case of Trump. But that would be an opportunity to buy, because we think end of November onwards, India is well and truly now poised to, you know, reach its place in the global indices, and we think we are headed much higher. So I think this will be a good passing storm, and if you do get that opportunity or a knee-jerk reaction, it will be an opportunity to buy.
All right. What is the setup looking like, Imtiaz, when one looks at the Nifty itself?
Definitely very much closely watching Nifty, and as of now what we can understand is that market is still in a consolidation zone. And I think so this consolidation would remain for another couple of days, like 8600 and 8700 is a zone, very much narrow zone. And unless we don't see either side breakout, I don't think so there would be any further development. But yes, stock specific activity will definitely continue. And very importantly, what we are understanding that from last couple of months, 8500 being a very much strong support, not only 85, 8520, 8550. So these are very much you can say support coming in, and on the higher side 87, 8740, 8780, these are all the you can say the ladders for the market which is about to be tested. So I think so the market would continue to remain the range board, but yes, stock specific activity would be very much good for the market.
Okay, Sameet, what is your take on the Nifty? Which way is it headed?
See, what we have been witnessing since last a week or so, Nifty has been maintaining its range-bound action, wherein 200-250 point has become a range. On the higher side, 8750 has become a very strong resistance, and lower side 8500 has become a make or break level in the near term. But we maintain our cautious stance as long as Nifty manages to stay below 8745, 8750 on a closing basis. But we believe that once Nifty breaks 8500, we are likely to head towards 8400, 8250. As of now, Nifty is yet to confirm its breakout. But if we have to bet on one side, then probably we'll wait for a breakdown to happen below 8500, and then we can expect lower levels of 8400, 8350.
All right. So you feel that there's a chance of a breakdown below that 8500 mark?
Yes, I mean, with the near-term to medium-term perspective, what we believe is before breaking its all-time high, Nifty is likely to give a decent price-wise as well as time-wise correction.
Okay, but Sanjeev, you don't share that, right? Because right before the show started, you were telling me that you expect this month to end at an all-time high.
Yes, now there is consensus pessimism, and that is the best time for the market to do the opposite. We think a large part of the pessimism on the back of earnings which have actually played out better. We think the global environment as such is causing a lot of concern, and we've seen FI sell for the last fortnight, which is another positive, because locally we're seeing that being matched by very positive domestic retail inflows. So we think second half of November, once the earnings, the fag end is clear, you should definitely be having an attempt at 9,000 and maybe 9,200 in the first week of December. So we remain extremely bullish and optimistic, and for a consensus now with pessimism being the pale, it's always good to be contrarian here.
All right. That's interesting. TS, if I look at from the, sometime in the, actually from the middle of July, we have actually been trading within that 8400 to, we did go up, but again, from the end of August, we've been actually completely range bound, as Imtiaz was saying on the Nifty. Now, is that enough of a time correction? I mean, even if I'd come in, let's say sometime in late July or early August, the returns on the Nifty are virtually zero, right? So if one looks at that, is that enough of a time correction?
See, I think the big story is not about the Nifty or the broad indices, it's about individual stocks. So I wouldn't read too much into where the Nifty is going. I think broadly the problem in my view in the last 4 months has been that there have been no obvious macro triggers for the Nifty to go up sharply. And I think a lot would depend on what happens in December. Now there's an outside chance that the US Fed may not hike rates in December. If that happens, I think that would be a very, very important trigger for the Nifty to get to new highs. I'm personally not very confident that between now and December, the Nifty could really shoot up. It could continue to be range bound, probably 200 points here and there. But I think if the December policy is dovish, that could be a very, very important trigger for the Nifty to actually get to a new high.
And why are you thinking that the December policy could be dovish?
See, quite a few reasons. One is, of course, who comes to power in the US. For example, if the Republicans come to power, as is now being expected, as a possibility, though not a certainty, I think Republicans would typically favor a weaker interest rate regime to a stronger interest rate regime. So I think if Trump comes in as an outside chance...
has been saying that the Fed has been artificially kept interest rates down, and that is affecting small savers.
Yeah, but Trump has never been a person who is pro small savers. He's always been pro big business. So there is a difference between what you say and what you actually do. So I would believe that once Trump comes in, it's going to be more of a low rate rather than a high rate regime. And I think that could actually be a good trigger for Indian markets.
All right.
Which probably explains why so many Indians are actually supporting Trump.
In fact, I was reading a piece which says that Trump is going to be great for India. It didn't sound too convincing, but that seems to be some sort of a sentiment there. Sanjeev, you were mentioning that there is a case for that you are seeing a rising yield curve in the US or in parts of the developed world. And you were mentioning that the flip side of that is that also means that the economy and earnings are recovering, right?
Exactly, and that should be the second positive for India, because we are in an easy interest regime. We've seen interest rates, the bond yields at a 7-year low, with the possibility that the RBI could actually cut another 25 basis points to get the repo close to 6%. So I think globally there is little bit of this pessimism, because the bond market has seen a rout. And that is indicative that people were too pessimistic on the growth coming back. And I think 2017 could well actually play, it could set the cat amongst the pigeons with a rise in bond yields, with an unequivocal pullback in stocks. Look at Brazil, look at Russia. There have been two emerging markets which are touching new highs on a regular basis on the back that economic activity in the next 6 months is expected to be very, very bullish. So we continue to be extremely bullish, firstly on the India side. And we think 2017 onwards, once the Fed rate is done with, you could actually see growth coming back in a bigger way, with equity markets globally outperforming.
Okay. TS, in terms of government spending in India, a lot of the earnings that we've seen, the companies which are doing well, have also had some sort of exposure to government spending. Now, one of the reports today said that 85% of the fiscal deficit target has already been met in the first half, which kind of curtails the chance that the government has to spend more in the second half. What impact does that have on the stock market?
See, Anand, first thing we need to remember is that if you read through the fine print of the last budget, they have not spoken about a fiscal deficit target, but a fiscal deficit range. And I think the government, in my view, this year, considering that there is OROB, there has been a 7 CPC, would probably be a little more flexible in the fiscal deficit target. So I think we have to be prepared for a slight breach of the fiscal deficit target this year. My view is it won't be too serious, probably about 25 to 30 basis points of a breach. But I think that is something the government would kind of allow itself the luxury of this year.
Okay, Sanjeev, you wanted to say something on this.
Yeah, just as a caveat, we have to see that two things were not included in the fiscal for inputs this year. One is the VDS, where we've exceeded the target, and the spectrum auction. So that gives a lot of buffer for the government and their finances to up the expenditure. So I think that 85% is without these two as a caveat on it. That's what I wanted to point out.
Okay, fair point. Sameet, in terms of the bank-ex and the bank space, what is looking strong to you?
See, as I just said, we are a bit cautious on the index, so we would wait for Bank Nifty to break its major resistance of 19,800, 19,900 in case if we have to turn our view on the optimistic side. As far as banking index is concerned, the levels are on the higher side. 19,600, 19,800 has become a very strong resistance, and low side we are seeing a strong support coming around 18,900, 19,000. So as of now we are seeing a broad range for banking index, wherein the higher end would be around 19,700, 19,800, and lower side if we see 19,000, 19,100 seems to be a very strong support. As far as individual stocks are concerned, yes, definitely ICICI Bank certainly looks good, but we would wait for a dip to get into this stock. Low side somewhere would be around 270, 265 seems to be a very strong support. The stock has a potential to move towards 295, 300, but we would wait for a decent dip to get into this stock.
Okay. Imtiaz, any pharma stocks that you like? I know you've already given Ajanta Pharma, but other than that, the slightly big cap space?
Not exactly from the mid cap, but another stocks after the post result. I'm talking about Dr. Reddy's. Very good performance has come in Dr. Reddy's from the level of 3068, and the stock's gone to 3400. And this is right now the second leg has opened down, and I think so. The second leg would be very much smaller to the previous leg, and I think so. This is going to give the big move on the higher side. So Dr. Reddy's can be taken as a on a buy side, and on a upper side. I think so. Stock has the potential to go above somewhere around 3550, 3600.
All right, Sameet Chavan and Imtiaz Qureshi, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us. But I'll just keep Harihar and Sanjeev here. Sameet, I just need your disclosures, and Imtiaz as well. I know Sameet's disclosure we played out, but anything specific that you would like to say other than what is just standard disclosure?
See, I don't have any vested interest in the discussed stocks, but our clients might be having positions.
Imtiaz, what about you?
I don't holding any of the positions what we had discussed in the entire show.
All right, we're going to take a break. We'll be back with T.S. Harihar and Sanjeev Bhasin. That's right after this short break.